Hey Velocity, this video is coming to you kind of as a follow-up to the meeting that we had yesterday after church on Sunday morning at Velocity. The elders wanted to get everybody together and just have a real honest talk about where we're at as a church financially in the middle of this summer. The story over the last 7 years of our church is we've had kind of seasons where we're doing very strong and other times where we're kind of challenged, and we've gotten into one of those seasons again like we were about 3 years ago. And so this is not a time for us to panic, but it is a time for us to be very serious about where we're at and communicate with you our need and how we can pull through this together. And so one of the things that we did that was really the focus of what we talked about was this prayer emphasis that we're going to have together as a church over the next several weeks that we're calling 1-1-1. And we passed out these cards on Sunday that are reminders for you to pray every day with your church family, that as one church, we'd be praying every day for 1 minute at 1 o'clock for our church's finances, for our church's family, and for our church's future. And we think that praying together, we're inviting God to join us through this challenging season and really see how He's going to work and be honored and glorified through this process. Because we've seen that in a couple other times we've been challenged before, that God was faithful, you've been generous, and God found creative ways for us to be blessed financially through a challenging time. And so there might be people in this church that God is going to speak to, like He has in the past, to be very generous in a new or creative way that they wouldn't have thought of otherwise. And so maybe you'll be in that position. But we think that praying together for God to be part of this process is something that's critical for all of us. And so we hope that you'll set your watch alarm maybe to ping at 1 o'clock every day if you're able to do that, or maybe you'll take your smartphone out and set an alarm that would ring every day at 1 o'clock. And at that time, you would pray with the rest of your church family one prayer that we pray together for 1 minute at 1 o'clock, that God would bless us and bless our finances, bless our family, our church family, and bless our future. Last week, we sent out a letter to our whole church family that kind of described our financial condition in a little more detail. And in that, I described that in the first quarter of the year, January, February, March, our contributions fell short of our expenses by $20,000, and that's quite a bit. And then in the second quarter, we were a lot better. We were only short by $10,000, which is good news. But the bad news is that brings us to the summer, where we're pretty much out of operating capital moving forward throughout the rest of the year. And so this is a serious time for us. And so one thing that we're doing, even though we have a very lean budget as a church, there's not a lot of places to cut, we've done a couple things. Number one, we've decided to give notice for the office that we're in right here because we're going to have to move out when we get in the new building anyway, but we're going to do that in 30 days. And that should save us about $4,000 during this next quarter, so that'll help quite a bit. Another thing that we decided to do that's probably the most critical is we're just going to cut Chip's salary. So this is really kind of a God-sized task that we're in together this summer, that it's something that we can attain with God's help. It's nothing that one of us probably can solve, but it's something that all of us working together can. It works out with our church attendance that we would need just about everybody in our church, if they would be able to contribute $20 a month, everybody, every month, that we would be back on track for where we need to be financially. And that's something that we can all do, and somebody can do more, some can do less. But one thing that we'll all be able to do is to pray for God to join us in this task. So we're really looking forward to how God is going to show up through this season, and we're going to be able to give Him the glory for doing His work and partnering with us through this challenging season. We hope to see you next Sunday, so stay tuned to see how things are going to go.